role-playing game
Dank.
night. Time to get our werewolf
God.
on. My day job has been turned into an evening job and is going just cuckoo. And I've managed to finally get a handle on it, meaning I have
I need
time
a
to
lot of
role-play
Cocoa Puffs, if you know
again.
what I mean.
I love it. We are back and joined by three of my all-time favorite people: Justin Reyes. Hi, Justin.
Hey,
James Majeros
What's up?
and Monica Dale.
I'm your most favorite, right?
There you go. What I'm going to do is what I'm going to do with Mario's character, because I think his availability will be sketchy, is to sort of keep in the back of my mind what he's doing. He's sort of a loner type spy anyway, and if he ever wants to come in and just join in for a
Fucking
game,
weird.
I'll know where he is and what he's doing, and I can give him a quick rundown. That's
besides,
cool.
he's probably helping out. He's probably helping out on the non-Umber side of things right now.
Bingo.
Just
Yeah,
keep things
he's
easy
He's
for
very
us.
much doing this.
Yeah,
He might not even be
going
in the
on.
city. He often travels. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, like, if you
Okay.
look at his Facebook, he's like trying to do a few things too with his life.
Very much so.
Not that his life's a mess. He's just trying to get it a little bit straightened out.
Always helps. Okay, so as a quick recap, there was sort of a ritual performed in the spirit world during in Boston during Frost Week, and things have settled down, and that ritual seems to have stopped. Unfortunately, something appeared after the ritual was performed. Something appeared out of the thin air in the Umbra, and Justin started to freak out because he knows what it is. And if either of you guys had a chance to look up what a Nexus crawler is, this is bad, really bad. Basically, the
Yeah.
equivalent of a big dragon in D&D has just showed up. A Nexus
Jones
crawler.
makes this a really
A
short
Nexus
campaign.
No, this is, and I promised that this is not your fight. This is just part of what was going on. This is where I was closing out the intro so that you guys can get a feel for your characters and that without having to take too many risks. Also, it has to do with the story and part of what's going on in Boston and part of what's going on with the with some of the other tribes. So this thing appears. It doesn't appear right in front of you. It appears some distance away. Nexus crawlers are so alien and so weird that even spirits of the worm run away from them. Like it's so out there that if one appeared in hell, the demons would all freak out. It's not one of them.
Nice.
We're not even. Nobody's even sure what it is. They think it might be alien. What it is associated with, though, is madness. They often appear in places like old insane asylums with bad reputations. If you go into the spirit world, you might find a Nexus crawler there. Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
When you phrase it like that, it kind of reminds me of the amygdala from Bloodborne.
very much so, and they can change reality in the spirit world. They can turn the ground to a giant plate of silver if they want. They could, it takes a lot of power to do so. But when we say like godlike powers, this is the top tier of things that you may at one time face.
I was gonna say, why the fuck would it be silver? Then I realized we're all fucking werewolves.
Yeah, you're all werewolves. The thing is, they're also completely random. There's rules for DMs when you play them that you can't metagame with them, because sometimes they'll do things that make no sense even in the context of having a fight. It's like, wait a minute, that makes no sense, but they did it anyway. So kind of like Siege in 40k, like plans on plans on plans. Sometimes the things don't even make any sense. All right, so when this thing appears, all of you, it's very difficult to even look at it. Your eyes seem to slide off of it. It makes you
Put on cool sunglasses.
yeah, it makes you nauseous. Just like the fact that it's there makes you want to puke. Yeah. More importantly, how much rage do all of you have? This is important.
Oh fuck, that's actually a really good point. Let me pull that up.
Yeah, I need to know how much rage you have.
Are you asking
Monica?
everyone or just
Everybody.
James?
No, everybody.
Fuck. Hold on.
Everybody,
How do you get my
everybody.
shit? I also threw it down my stairs.
Oh, okay.
It was an eventful hour.
I have 4 rage.
Okay, I want you to roll 4 dice. Tell me what they say.
Oh Jesus, here we go. D10s, right?
Yep.
Yep.
What's my threshold?
You're a Fianna, so you have no specific bonuses. It'd be 6.
6.
Yep.
2 successes.
Okay. You managed to keep control of yourself. However, you do know what the beast is. It's that thing inside of you that makes you a werewolf. It's the animal.
Yep.
Right, and it's always itch there, a little itch at the back of your mind. You know, especially encouraging you to lash out, encouraging you to act in an animal way. Right now, it's in the back of your mind like a sledgehammer on a door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's beating you almost. It's almost beating you to your knees like a migraine. Just being near this thing.
Yeah.
Justin, how much rage do you have?
Yeah, 2. I rolled successes on both.
Well, it's okay. You can't. With 2, you can't frenzy. You're fine. You're basically in the same boat. You're just like ah.
No, I'm more in the same. I'm as much as everybody's like getting close to frenzy. I'm more in lines of looking for the fastest way to get the fuck out of the Umbra.
Yeah, that's basically a fox frenzy. There's 2 kinds of frenzy. There's full frenzy, which is when you lose control and go psycho, and then there's something called a fox frenzy, which happens if you botch the roll. And a fox frenzy is you run away in terror. And it's considered extremely dishonorable.
I don't have anything written down right here, but I think...
You are a Ragabash. You are a Ragabash Silence Rider. Give yourself 3 points. Yeah. That's pretty standard.
3 whole points.
Yeah, 3 rage. We will explain to you when a fight starts what rage is useful for. And you're fine. You're fine. You've spent a lot of time in the Umbra. You're actually quite cool. Okay. Within a moment of this thing appearing, you hear the drum beat start again from a distance, and you hear howls, and in a large circle around it, just in front of you, so excluding you, from like in between you and it, appear spirits. 2 or 3 dozen of them in a large circle. They are ancestor spirits of werewolves, and they're all holding tribal-style spears with feathers coming down them, with large silver heads, and they're forming a circle around this thing. And from the far side, leaping into the circle, come 7 wolves. Well, obviously lupus, because they're in the Umbra. Lupus werewolves, all with white fur with black markings, and they leap on the thing. Ice Moon Howl, who is standing with you, is like got you guys by the shoulders and is pulling you backwards. Like, we need to get out of here now.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I want to watch.
I'm
No,
pretty much like,
no. Looking at this thing makes you want to puke.
like simple. You stay, you die. We're leaving.
Yeah, we need
now.
to get the fuck out of here.
You can see that the lupus werewolves, some of them have switched to their battle form and are fighting this thing. Like, fighting it. And it's fighting back. And, yeah, there's some big lads over there, and they're having a rough time.
Yeah, I'm trying to...
And there's some big lads over there, and they're having a fucking gaff.
Yeah, I'm trying to open a way to get us back to the real world.
Yep, good idea. You can absolutely do that. Your spirit, your spirit familiar is hiding under your coat. Like, no, I don't want to do this. Go away.
No, I don't want to go.
Actually, Justin, Diana, I want you to make a perception, an alertness roll, or an awareness roll, whatever you have higher.
Perception.
The rest of you can too. You might notice this. It's you guys are not not unknowledgeable about the Umbra. Dietrich, do you know on your character sheet your perception and your alertness or awareness?
What's the difficulty?
Perception.
Oh, like 5.
3. All right, so target 5. Rolling
2
3
perception,
dice.
1 alertness.
2
Six
perception and 1
successes,
alertness.
2 of them. 6 successes on the roll. 2 of them were crits.
All
Okay.
3 of mine were successes.
It's very easy to notice. Okay, you're just starting to see it because obviously this Nexus crawler took up a lot of your focus. But when the ritual ended, you noticed the natural spirits of Boston, obviously, and a lot of what you noticed were Banes. Obviously, lesser Banes, and a Bane for anyone who isn't listening, or who isn't listening. Sorry, who has been listening but didn't necessarily catch it, is an evil spirit. Let's say we'll call it that. It's a spirit of the worm. Its job is to infect things in the real world from the spirit world. So it'll infect a person. Typical Banes, let's say in a city, spirit of crime, spirit of racism. A spirit of injustice, a spirit of just anger, a spirit of insanity.
Spirit of Jake Paul.
Bingo, there you go. I'm not kidding. Like, the media has spirits. There are things like, and these things, they're always around, and they're what cause trouble. They're what cause a lot of trouble. What they're trying to do is break down order. They're trying to cause chaos. And one of the things that werewolves do is fight these things and try to keep them under control, at least. One of the things that you notice is when that Nexus Crawler showed up, a bunch of them, seriously, almost every Bane for, as far as your eye could see around, ran away.
Mm-hmm.
They just left. They fled. They ran for the hills because they don't like being around it either. And so now that the fight has started, there's only Weaver and Wild Spirits here in the Umbra. And yes, it's time to get out of here.
Okay, I'm getting a drink, but I'm carrying my controller and dice with me.
Okie dokie. So, Diana, you have probably the easiest way out.
Yeah. Oh. Let's roll that. Let's get the hell out of here. Gonna roll to get the hell out of here. Roll my gnosis.
I tap my foot impatiently.
The threshold here is maybe, I'll say 6 standard. It's not bad.
3 successes.
3 successes is plenty. Takes about 20 sec. It takes maybe 10 seconds, and you guys make your way through a mirror. It's kind of weird. it's never not creepy to find yourself, pushing your entire full-size body through a hand mirror. One of the things that you notice, and to come out into an alleyway behind the pub down in Boston. One of the things you notice when you're in the Umbra is that you show up in your forms, in your human forms. Monica's character, whose name is I don't have it in front of me.
Maliha.
Maliha appears in Krynos in the Umbra. Appears in her battle form and appears human when she comes through the Umbra. When she comes through into the real world, sorry. And when she's in the Umbra, she has large, fully functional wings.
Metal.
You're cutting it from me.
Yep. I'm cutting out, sorry, is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you keep cutting
Sorry,
it
I was
out.
describing you, because you have your fetish, the monkey's charm, which allows you to appear human, regardless of the form you're in. That doesn't work in the Umbra. When you go into the Umbra, you're in your battle form. Like, it's easy for you to walk around in it. It's nice. It's handy.
Okay, cool.
So there you go. Now that you're back in the alley, you notice Ice Moon Howl came along, and he said, "I know those guys. I didn't want to hang around."
Are they your pals?
No, not at all. They are
Oh, I
Wendigo.
see.
They are Wendigo. They are a group that we do not. They've broken away, let's say. They believe that the old ways should come back, and they don't care what's here now. They want it to be the old way, and this was a hunting ground. This was a place where young werewolves came for trials of manhood and merit, and so that's what they're doing it again. The fact that there's a Boston here doesn't matter to them.
So they were basically what was going on was they were doing a ritual to try and get their hunting ground back. Is that it?
They were no, not to get it back. As far as they're concerned, it was always theirs, and it still is. The ritual was to summon a powerful thing for them to fight, so that a couple of them in the group could earn their position, their rank.
So they literally just summoned a Nexus Crawler for no goddamn reason. Just fight the thing.
That's what's been going on here for millennia. The fact that a Boston is here now doesn't matter to them. They don't care. That's your problem.
Yeah.
I see.
That's all I can tell you. I don't communicate or talk to them. I don't agree with their way.
In other
I think
words,
I think
Oh,
we
it's
should.
fine.
in other words, to keep their old ways, they're pretty much putting the city in risk.
Right.
Yes, because they don't care that there's a city here now. That's your thing. They never asked for a city to be here.
The fact that there's a city on their hunting ground is just kind of a minor inconvenience to them, really.
If it wasn't here, they may have had the hunt outside here in the real world.
Yeah,
Right.
if anything, it's probably just a more complicated hunting ground with more obstacles to jump over and destroy.
If any of you have spent any gnosis, you have it back. You have taken part, whether you know it or not, in a sacred hunt.
Yeah, I have not used any of my, two gnosis.
Yeah, it's more about the urge thing.
Right. Next course of action.
I need to go. I've done what I can here. It's time to head back to my sept. Thank you though for the invitation.
Understood.
I'll be around from time to time.
Yeah, don't be a stranger. Come around whenever you like.
You sort of Dietrich looks at you and says, "That's one creepy little kid you got hanging around with you," and then he leaves.
They're not too bad.
I take that as a compliment from him, given that he hasn't said a fucking word to me since he started poking his head around my place.
I'll take it.
You take it where you can, really, with Ice Moon.
Diana, you receive a phone call from Astra. Did a Nexus crawler just appear in the city?
Yeah, pretty
Say
much.
no. God damn it, I swear to Christ.
Apparently some of the Wendigo who are stuck in the old ways decided to have a little proving ceremony.
From behind her in the background, you can hear Seamus going, "Oh Christ, not that stupid Brotherhood shite again."
Yeah, that's literally it.
God. All right, forget that for now. I need you to get down to Boston Harbor, and he gives you an address, basically like Pier 12. There's something weird going on. We had somebody watching over some containers coming in. We had a tip off, and something isn't right. We just need you to go and take a look. Like just
Right.
observe.
Who's riding bitch? It's either one of the two of you. Just go ahead and fight it amongst yourselves. Eeny, meeny, miny, you, and he points at Diana. You're riding bitch. Come with me. You're on the chopper.
All right.
Okay.
You can find your own way. Call a taxi or an Uber. I don't fucking give a shit.
I'm sorry, shit's cutting out a little bit here and there again.
Oh, your sound is dropping.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically what happened was, Phelan literally said, "Eeny, meeny, miny, you," and he pointed at Diana. So Diana and him are riding on Phelan's chopper to go to the Boston Harbor, where we saw some suspicious containers coming in, and a suspicious character watching over suspicious containers coming into the harbor. So we're gonna go take a look. You need to call an Uber or a taxi or ride with Seamus or something to the Boston Harbor.
Rating it is with Seamus.
No problem. That's easy. Like I said, you flag a taxi. You say, "I'm going to this address." Done. I don't role play stupid things that like breathing. You're not gonna fail to get a taxi down to like Front Street in Boston.
Especially in Boston, where there's taxis everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. You're in a big city. This is not a big deal. So there you go. You basically arrive at the same time. You just follow the taxi. Okay. It's dark. Obviously, it's probably 10:30, 11 o'clock at night now. There are spotlights down in the harbor. It's to think of your typical action movie scene in the harbor, right? You've got stacks and stacks of those big containers. You've got a security gate, a large section of fencing, some rail lines coming in, road.
It's just like the movies.
Hey, look at that! It's just like the movies. Um, the nausea that you felt from meeting that Nexus crawler has started to fade as you're feeling a little bit more yourself. That smashing and banging in the back of your brain is now a little less nasty. You're
Down to
here.
a
You can
level.
see this place is big. If there's not much going on, obviously something far at the end of the pier. You can hear those weird forklifts that pick up the containers. There's a couple that seem to be driving around that area.
So
up to you what you
Phelan
do.
rides down that way.
You're not getting past the main gate. Like there's armed guards out there. This is big deal. You pulled up on the road outside of the main like fenced in area where all these containers are kept, and you sort of parked. Now you're looking. You're just like you're not staying just out. You're not stupid. You're staying just out of sight of the main gate where these like heavily armed security guards are hanging around. And you're just looking over the whole place basically at this point. So you've got the gate, you've got a fence that runs the length of the street, so 500, 600, 700 yards, from one end to the other. And on the other side of, let's say, a 20-foot high fence with barbed wire on top, you've got like rows of containers, and then you've got Boston Harbor, where the ships are docked.
Great.
And at one end, let's say off to the right, towards the far end, you can sort of see a little bit of movement and action going on in between the rows of containers. Everything else seems to be quiet.
I missed 3/4 of what you're saying because my sister's going to bed and she came in to tell me.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
just give me the short abridged.
Okay. You're outside of the fence. Armed guards at a main gate. Big
Yep.
long fence runs the entire length of the street. Let's say about half a mile.
Okay.
On the far side of the fence is containers, and then the harbor. At one end, you can sort of see movement, but you're not driving down there because there's a 20-foot fence with barbed wire.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I get off the bike and I walk towards one of the ends of the fence.
Okay, so you're walking along the sidewalk down Front Street, basically looking over. What are you guys doing? Whatever's going on, you can't see from the road. Like it's deep in. There's rows of containers back there. It's probably 100, 200 yards from the fence to the harbor where the ships are docked, and there's just piles and piles of containers, walls of them stacked up.
Well,
Is it any one specific turn or no?
No, go right ahead. Just tell me what you're doing.
Shit, I don't know.
Do you have any abilities, Daytree? That you're a Ragabash. Do you have any abilities that might help you? What did you take as gifts?
Silence. What was that again?
You move silently. It's natural. It's with the owl. You don't make any noise when you walk.
yeah.
Got it.
You also have gifts. Hang on, I have to find your character sheet. Sorry.
My gifts are persuasion, blur, and silence.
Okay, you have Blur of the Milky Eye, which is kind of like a stealth. Makes you very, very difficult to spot. Persuasion allows you to convince people of what you say is true.
Okay. But I can't get in there because of the barbed wire.
Did you
fence,
take Leap of
right?
the Kangaroo?
Nope.
Okay. There's a 20-foot fence with barbed wire on top.
Is there any way I can cut through the fence?
Do you have a way to cut through it? And remember, you're standing on basically a street right now on the sidewalk of a street. So if you're going to do that, maybe don't get caught. Actually, can you? Absolutely. Remember, you're right now, whether it appears to be or not, you're right now a 9-foot tall hulking rage machine.
Yeah. Okay. So I would like to do that, but also use blur.
Mm-hmm.
so like no one sees me cutting the fence open and seeing the people.
Okay, well, nobody will notice you easily. When you grab the fence and rip it, it's going to make a noise. It may attract attention, but if you're fast, yeah, maybe you got some friends who might keep a lookout for you.
Okay. Don't fuck me over in this. I'm
Okay,
gonna
hang
fucking
on a
try and
second here.
jerk this open.
I'm pulling up character sheets here. Okay, so both of the other two of you, at this point, Maliha walks over to the fence at what looks like a quiet point, about as far between streetlights as she can manage, and goes, "Shh, watch out for me." So, what are you doing?
I watch out for her.
Okay, make a perception and alertness roll. Difficulty is like a 3. Or you know what? Do me a favor. Make an intelligence and alertness roll. Difficulty of, let's say, 4.
Oh,
You're gonna fuck me over if you're dumb.
Intelligence and alertness.
Yeah. Basically, are you smart enough to know that this is the right time to tear a hole in a fence
And a difficulty
and not get
what?
caught? 4. You're not stupid.
Okay.
Oh,
3 successes
Okay.
out of 4.
Diana?
yeah.
Unless you're doing something completely different.
Would I be able to get a sense of how things are umbrally? I just want to peek, not actually go in.
Yeah, you have a spirit familiar. The Umbra here is quiet. Everything seems to the Umbra's quiet here. Everything is in an uproar because there's a Nexus crawler battle going on just down the road. But aside from that, there's nothing in particular.
Everything's quiet. The Umbra side of things.
Justin, your mic's
So roll
doing
an
the
intelligence
thing.
and alertness just to see if you if you completely don't notice the police squad car that happens to be coming up the road right at this second. That kind of thing.
Oh, son of a bitch.
No, that's only if you botch, please.
5 successes, 2 crits.
Oh well, that's fantastic. Okay, so basically, Gra's looking around going, I don't see any cars. Diana looks at the fence and says, I don't see any trip wires and I don't see any alarm wires and it doesn't seem to be electrified. Go ahead.
I ripped that bitch a new one.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to look at, guys, because she looks like this itty bitty little, waif of an Arabic looking girl, and she literally grabs both sides of the fence and goes, tears it open like it's made out of Velcro, and just steps through.
She had to freeze it like.
Like just, like literally just, that's it. Just tears it like Velcro and walks through. And you guys, do you follow her?
Jesus fuck, Maliha, calm down.
I stare at them dead in the eye.
The fuck?
Fucking follow.
What the fuck did the fence ever do to you?
They kept me from
Jesus
getting to the other
Christ.
side.
Okie dokie. So you guys go through a now torn open hole in a fence, big enough for someone to get through.
You're welcome, by the way.
This tiny wafer of an Arabic woman rip open the fence like Velcro.
Oh, I get a phone call real quick.
That's going in out of context.
I'm gonna mute my mic. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
shit.
Okay, so she's answering that. She's answering the phone. Okay, so you guys are in the area now. You're out of sight of the street very quickly. It's easy enough. There's a bit of a bank that runs down. It's concrete stacks and stacks of these containers, 4 and 5 high, sometimes easily as tall as a 2 and 3 story building. They create aisles and big enough for forklifts and stuff to drive down. It's quiet. You're all except for Maliha, you're in Hamid form. Okay, that's important to know. And yeah,
It was just the Taco Bell calling that I applied for like 2 months ago. Finally getting back to me.
okay.
Yeah,
So
what they say.
what do you do next?
I told them I already had a job.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
What do you do next in the game?
That's a good question.
Well, on the other side of the fence.
There's a little embankment that goes down. It's not hard to get out of sight.
Then I go down the embankment and I take a look.
I want all of you to make an intelligence roll. Just straight up intelligence.
Which one do I roll for that?
Hang on. How many? Just look and see how many dots do you have in intelligence.
Also, what's the target number?
2.
If 2 in intelligence, your target number is going to be 4. This isn't.
What dice do I roll?
They're always
dice?
D10s. They're always 10 sided. I'm
10s.
rolling for you. Don't worry about it. Okay. So Maliha is completely unconcerned.
Fuck yeah.
I had 2 successes and one of them exploded.
Okay. Between you and Diana, you realize it's probably a stupid idea to just walk into this fence, leaving a giant hole in it.
Yeah.
I walk over to
Fine.
the fence and I close it back up.
Okay.
Don't hurt yourself, Tiny.
You're pretty sure. So between the two of you, you managed to sort of tie it back together using bits of old shoelace and stuff, and you're pretty sure that in the dark, no one will notice that it's been torn. It won't. It won't stay that way in daylight. I mean, anyone who walks by close is going to know that that thing's been broken, but just basic people passing by shouldn't notice that there's a hole in the fence.
Cool.
Next, what would you like to do?
Hmm.
I'm gonna just take like, what's it called? What are my gifts? What gifts do I have?
I think you have persuasion. I don't know what else.
No, I have Master of Flyer, Resist Toxin, Stare Down, and Call of the Wild.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So I don't have City Running, which means I cannot climb up vertical walls.
Now, it doesn't mean you can't climb these things. They're not sheer and unclimbable. There's handles and bars and everything else. It's just it'll take a roll to not make a clanging pile of noise.
Okay, so
Actually,
I'm gonna try
can
that.
I
I'm
offer
gonna see if
to
I can
like
get up to
throw
the
him
top.
up there since I am technically in battle form? And
Yeah,
would
you want to
be-
do an LA oop? Sure. So, when he does it, you're going to make a strength roll, and you're going to basically add every success to his. Every success of his is going to reduce his difficulty to get up on top of one of these piles without making any noise.
What am I rolling and what's my difficulty?
Hang on a second. I'm going to roll for her first, because that's how I'm going to find out. Dietrich, what's your strength right now?
My strength.
What's the strength on your sheet? I know what it adds up to in Krenos.
I think I have it as 2.
Yeah,
Or
2 strength,
4.
so that's 6.
Yes.
So that's 6 in Krenos. One, two, three, 4. Okay, so your difficulty, James, is going to be literally 2, because they're like, Amelia's like, hey, I have a great idea. Here, hang on a second. She puts out 2 hands, like to give you a boost. And goes, here, come here, I'll give you an alley-oop. And when you put your foot, she throws you about 50 feet into the air. Just like, you're like, whoa.
I had 4 successes.
Okay, and basically her aim is good, and you just land like a cat on the top of the, which is really a mean thing to say to a werewolf, but you land like a cat on the top of a stack
3-point
about
landing.
4 high, about like literally 4 of these containers high. You land right on the top.
3-point landing.
Yep, just
I grin with
Hero
the
stance.
utmost satisfaction and throw him a thumbs up.
I give her a thumbs up right back, a really crisp one. It's just kind of like one of those shit-eating grin thumbs ups where it's like you just expect it to be in a reaction picture of some kind. And I take a very good gander around to see what we're dealing with and see if I can find the problem area that Seamus was talking about.
problem area, you're not sure, but the only activity of any kind seems to be happening, let's say, about 3 rows over and about 50 yards down, closer to the piers, closer to the actual docks, like where the water is.
I'm going to try and like jump to like
The gap?
3 rows over.
It's okay. The gap
How
is a
big is the
good
gap?
25, 30 feet across. In your human form, without a gift, you will probably
Yeah, I wouldn't be
not
able to
make
make
that
it.
jump.
No. So
Or at
I'm
least
gonna
make a lot of
I'm gonna
noise.
shift into my Glabro form.
Okay, that should give you I think that gives you a boost of dex. If you look on your character sheet,
No, my
If you look on the
Creative
5
form gives
forms.
me a bonus to Dex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take my time and shift into Lupus because that gives me a
You can
+2
make
to
the leap
Dex.
without even, yeah, you can make the leap like effortlessly in lupus form.
Yeah.
Your jump
Yeah,
is double
exactly.
what it is as a human.
So I'm just gonna take my time and turn into Lupus, and I'm just gonna jump the gaps and kind of look over the edge and see what I can see.
Okay, what are the other two? What are the two of you doing? You see him up there. You see him sort of a shadowy shift into a wolf form, and then you see him jump across the gap above you, sort of heading that away.
I try to follow as quietly as possible, about a row or half a row behind, so that way if he does get in trouble, I can hop him, but I'm
Okay.
not too far ahead to get caught.
Diana?
I'm going to. I'm actually going to. I'm actually going to follow along,
Mm-hmm.
but first chance I get, I'm going to basically take out a small mirror and go into the end
Okay.
and follow them from there.
No problem. All right, so hang on a second. I have to make a couple of quick rolls here. Gra, you're making your way across the rooftops or the tops of these piles. You can see farther along there's when you get to a point where you can sort of see the ground between the last row and the dock, yeah, and you see that there is a very for the lack of a better word, expensive looking boat, like a yacht style, not a cargo ship. And there are 2 or 3 like cars pulled up around, along with a windowless black van, like basically a big Econoline. And there's about a half dozen guys just they're bringing what look like boxes, crates, different boxes, luggage, off the boat. At this distance, you can't really hear anything other than just this like basic murmuring sounds, the occasional clank of something, the waves. I'm gonna make a couple of rolls here. Okay, I'll get to you in a sec, Diana. Maliha, as you're following him down a certain path, down the different ranks, you get to the end of one of the rows, and you're sort of like, do I go this way? Do I go that way? You can hear something. Out of the corner of your eye, you see a patch of shadow start to sort of move and swirl at the, let's say off to the left, down one of the rows, and a very, very foggy face of a little girl pops up and is sort of wagging her finger like no, and then disappears.
She like wagged it side to side.
Yeah, like you see, I'll go this way, and she was like wagging her finger back and forth, and then it just sort of vanishes into the mist.
Alright, so I'm gonna go the other way.
I take it as a sign of trouble in the area I'm heading towards. So I try to somehow silently signal James's character to like back off.
Okay. He's gone actually not the other way, but let's say you were going like a certain direction. He's to the right of that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm
then
away from
instead,
that.
Remember, he's leaping over the tops of these things. You have to sort of follow the maze. And when you got to a fork where you could go, let's say left or right, the left side, this face popped up and was wagging his finger like no.
I'll go the other way then.
Okay, so you go around to the right. A moment or two after you've gone around to the right, you hear footsteps, and men's voices speaking in a language you don't understand. And they go like sort of past where you were. You can just hear their boots moving along. Diana, just as you hear the sound of the boots moving and stuff, you make your way through the Umbra. I need you to make a roll. The gauntlet here is 5. The gauntlet here is 5. This close to the ocean, it's pretty natural.
4 success.
Okay. Yeah, you pull up your mirror and like, oh shit, people are coming. and you go through in literally like 3 seconds, no problem. As uh, you slip through into the Umbra just as a couple of security guards, I guess, or guys, but they're not speaking English, come through. So Maleha, they're like back behind you. You went a completely different way. You don't make any noise when you move, so you're not worried. And you make your way down that row, and you know that the wolf of Gra in wolf form is sort of just basically above you. Um,
Hmm.
and you make your way to the end of the row and look around, and you see what he saw, which is some vehicles, a couple of limousines, big black limousines, a big black van with no windows, an expensive looking yacht, and some guys working it. Diana, you slip into the Umbra. Okay. Whew. Let me see here. Okay, you slip into the Umbra, and you're now in what looks more like colonial Boston, of course, because Boston, the spirit of Boston Harbor, has its own style. The containers look more like actual giant wooden crates. The ships are represented by tall sailing masted ships, and there's horses drawing things back and forth with the spirits of them anyway. Uh, you're still in between piles of these things, so you can't really see what's going on. What would you like to do?
Just continue to scope around, keep an eye out
Okay.
on things.
You make your way around, and you get to a spot you figured about where they are, about where they would have been by comparison. And yeah, actually, it's pretty easy because at the end, it's hanging around, sitting on the edge of one of the crates, is this little girl kicking her feet. She's playing with a little doll, and your spirit familiar face is that like, and over to one side you see. It's difficult to describe. So it's a fancy boat, basically, a very fancy boat, and you see hazy outlines of people. All of them have banes in them. All of them are infested by banes, and two of them are carrying a long thing. I'm not going to tell you what it is because you can't tell what it is from this distance and just by looking. But as it moves, red. I'm loath to say tentacles because I don't want to turn this into a Japanese tentacle porn. But let's say tendrils, red tendrils, are sort of flopping out from this crate and like slapping on the ground or digging into the ground or like flailing maybe 5 feet out from it, and the whole thing is
Yeah,
just surrounded by a black hole of darkness.
yeah, that not going anywhere near that crate.
Damn it.
Also,
Dang
I
it.
would have to say,
This is not a Nexus crawler.
knowing
This
how.
is not a Nexus crawler. This is completely
Oh
different.
no,
Yeah.
oh no. Also, the fact that my spirit companion hissed over at the little girl.
Yeah, but it always does that.
Don't you fucking touch.
It's like
Don't you fucking touch me.
I basically go over. I look at the little girl. I'm like, excuse me.
Okay, when you look at the little girl, do you remember how I described her to James? Yeah, if you actually pay attention to her and look at her, she's now a rotting corpse. Like there are maggots pouring out of her eyes. There are dozens of raw stab wounds up and down her body, and her clothes are torn nearly to shreds. She's still looking at you, and she's still completely willing to interact with you. But this is what she looks like when you look at her. Like actually pay attention to her.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
So, what exactly are you here?
I like following the girl. She feels right.
It's fallen spirit. I can understand you following her.
I like her.
Then again, of course you do.
And she's not like any bad men. There have been bad men. I didn't like them. There are bad men over there.
Ah, yes. Those that summon the creature.
No, there are bad men over there. She's pointing at the boat. They're bringing a boogeyman.
Wait,
The boogeyman's sleeping in the box. And she starts singing it like, the boogeyman is sleeping in the box. He's sleeping in the box. He's sleeping in the box.
Nothing fucking good comes from dead children
Okay.
singing lullabies.
I send it. I probably have James's
Absolutely.
Characters.
You have his cell phone number. Absolutely.
I'm texting. I'm
Can
going
you
to
talk through the
send a
envelope?
text. I'm pretty much sending a text that there's something on the boat. There's a very bad thing on the boat.
Okay, now, hang on a second. Back in the real world. Oh, by the way, just as you send the text, the little girl starts singing, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine," in this beautiful, adorable, about 7-year-old voice. And she's having a great time, and now she's just wandering around. Back in the real world. Holy crocus dominocus. That's a lot of tens. Okay. Malia, you notice that very quickly. You notice that all of the men are armed. They seem to be armed with some sort of submachine gun type gun. Do you have any skill in guns?
I have one in firearms.
Yeah, I'll get to you in a sec. Malia, they're armed with some sort of shooty gun, like action movie style gun. That's about what you know. The kind of stuff you'll see you would see in an action movie. James, go ahead. Roll intelligence or intelligence in guns, whatever, something like that.
Can you give me 2 seconds here?
Yep.
I'm in the middle of saving something.
And Maliha, you also notice that they're all oh, that's actually a lot. That's some really high rolls. Folks, if you're listening, these are some really high rolls. I'm rolling on behalf of Monica, and yeah.
Intelligence firearms, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So, 4 total. What's my difficulty?
4.
Okay.
Not
4
not to make this game political, but you're an American.
You get 4 successes.
Yeah. They're all armed with MP5s.
Got it. So
From
good
this
for
distance,
not
they
much else.
yeah, they're all armed with MP5s. Malia, you notice. Hang on a second, James. James, make a perception and alertness roll as well. Malia, you notice that they all have tattoos peeking out from under like collars. They're all wearing suits, like black men's
Black and white.
suits, but
2 out of 3 successes.
okay. Most of these guys are friggin' huge. Like they're bulky. These are not
They're
typical
small.
dock workers. They're the word I would think of is like bodyguard
Dead
or
material.
yeah, like seriously, these guys are muscle on top of muscle. If you ever saw the movie, if you ever saw like the last James Bond, there's Spectre, Batista walking around in his suit,
yeah,
looking
yeah.
like he was stuffed into it like a bad sausage. There's
Yep.
like all of these guys look like that.
Got it.
They've all got tattoos poking out. What I want you to do, Malia, you don't recognize any of the markings, but what you do notice is that they all have the same markings. James, this is going to be a tough roll. What are your knowledges?
A lot of rites and rituals and local knowledges and shit.
Okay, do you have animal ken? Do you have primal urge?
I have 4 animal ken.
Not animal ken. Sorry, do you have primal urge? Not animal ken. My bad.
As a gift?
No, primal urge is a talent.
No, I don't.
Okay. Damn. Okay, just make me a perception alertness roll. Make me a perception alertness roll. Difficulty from this distance and this light, like 8. But see if you can spot it. Diana, you actually see your spirit familiar is poking a tendril through the umbra in just general area.
I had 2 successes.
Okay. And you get an extra one from nowhere, from direction you don't really understand. You just feel inspired, and you feel you're seeing better than you normally would. Oh, not to mention, you're in lupus form. You see really, really well. Okay. Yeah. Two of them, not all of them, have
Oh, so that
very
means that all of my perception checks get dropped to 6.
yeah.
If it's an 8 difficulty. So 6 and 1 more. And then... Yeah, no. I got a 5. You just missed it.
Okay. Two of these guys have a very specific tattoo on the side of their neck. It's plain and open, and you do not realize why you didn't notice it before. And it's writing in Gaelic. It's not Irish Gaelic; it's Scottish Gaelic.
Fucking course it is.
But it's you know what? Make a language roll, see if you can translate it.
Okay. Intelligence, linguistics, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's 5. Is it still the same roll? 8?
No, standard of 6.
Okay.
It's just a dialect.
3 successes.
Okay. I'll get to you in a second. Malia, while you're watching, you notice that one of them one of the guys, as he's doing, lifts his head and smells the air like he's I don't know, either like he smelled a fart or something. But it's a weird thing. It's just a weird thing to do. He had lifted his head and actually sniffed the air. Diana,
Yes.
they're not moving. They've gotten down off. They're basically walked this thing off the boat, and they're getting ready to load it into a van. In the real world, you guys noticed that the two guys that you noticed who had these tattoos are carrying a long, narrow crate, basically about the size of, let's say, a small couch or something like that. Like if I had to guess what was inside of it, like maybe 6-7 feet long, 2 feet high, but 2 or 3 feet by 2 or 3 feet. It's big and it's obviously heavy, but it's big and it's heavy. But these guys are carrying it easily. One of them, and when you look at the, you're looking and you're racking your brains, and it occurs to you, that's Pictish.
John, is this the same crate the little girl was freaking out about?
Yes. Yeah, you see like that thing with the tendrils popping out of it and everything. Yeah.
How much you want to bet that that's a coffin? How much you want to bet? Come on, 6 by 6 or 7 feet long by 2 by 3. Come on, that's a coffin.
Shit. This can't be.
And they're disguising it in a box.
Maybe it's just like maybe like a really cool mini fridge inside.
It's your Monica.
Anyway, you would get it, James. Your phone would buzz, since I know it's probably on vibrate.
Mm-hmm.
It's a text
your butt starts to buzz because your phone is actually a talisman dedicated, and in lupus form, it's not. You don't carry a phone. It's part of you. You just get this weird feeling like, oof.
What the fuck is that?
Okay, it's by the way, the writing is Pictish, and it's not a word. It's just letters. The letters are BSD.
BSD.
Yeah, Bob, Samuel, David. Yeah.
Okay.
And only 2 of these guys have it. The others are just big, burly muscle guys.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Yeah, so your butt's vibrating. You've had this happen before since they dedicated the phone to you. It means you're getting a phone call.
John?
Yep.
Did you?
I can't slip anything past Justin.
Just it's like, I'll fucking kill you.
I'm gonna come to Montreal and beat you up.
Okay.
Hang on a second. I have to make another roll. Oh, you guys are really lucky. So they're loading this thing into the back of the van, and one of them again stops and he lifts his head. And he's like, and he's cocking his ear, and he speaks. Malia, you have no idea what he says. He says something that sounds literally like trying to talk with marbles in your mouth. Gra, you speak Gaelic, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Fluid in it.
with a heavy dialected accent, because it's not Irish Gaelic, it's Pictish. He says something like, "Told you, doesn't smell right. Smell like Garu somewhere."
Oh, that's
The other one looks and goes, "Pff, "You're paranoid. We're all right."
And isn't this just fucking grand? Can I? No, never mind. That's a dumb question. Not gonna do it.
Diana in the Umbra. Hang on a second.
Wait, hold on. Actually, no, it's not a dumb question. If my phone is dedicated to me and it's a talisman,
No, it's not a
Can I-
talisman. The rite of talisman dedication dedicates items to you so that they don't disappear or get destroyed when you shift forms. It doesn't become a talisman necessarily. It doesn't gain any special power.
It's like
can I
it's as if-
use
it's as
it
if it
in this
doesn't,
form or
No, you can't use it. You can't use an item that you wouldn't normally be able to use, and in fact, it's not even visible on you. Like, let's say you had a spear or a gun, you might have like a patch of fur in lupus form that was vaguely gun or spear shaped. It would be represented on you somehow, and travel with you, and become available to use when you're in a form that could use that item. So you're aware
So
that
literally,
you
I have a square patch of black fur.
Yeah, basically. You have a square patch of like silvery black fur that looks remarkably like an iPhone 6, you know. Basically.
I hate iPhones.
Oh,
It's
whatever.
Samsung.
You know what I
Fuck
mean.
you.
There you go. Who says you can't have fun?
iPhones are garbage and everyone knows it. Anyway, work points aside, I'm gonna really slowly shift back into my Hamid form and just kind of like sit cross-legged on the crates with still my vista to see them, and I'm gonna kind of lay back against the top of the crate so this way they won't see the backlight of my phone. I'm gonna open up my text and see what it said, A, and B, I'm gonna send a text back that says they know we're here, they can smell us, and they have initials on their neck that say BSD in Pictish, which is Scottish.
Yeah.
So all of that in text form.
Okie doke. They don't seem to be paying any attention. Well, they seem to be paying more attention to what they're doing. They're unloading more crates, not that look anything like that one. Just boxes and
crates.
lots of luggage, like suitcases, handbags, things like that. After enough to basically fill up the trunk of two limousines plus the full back seats of the limousines, they unload another crate that looks almost exactly like the first one. Hang on, Diana. I just need to make a roll here. Oh yeah, absolutely, that's fine. You notice, Diana, there are banes, very minor, like little jagglings, little gafflings, flocking to the place over the last couple of minutes. Easily a dozen minor banes have come flocking to this place. They're just attaching themselves to the crate that's in the van, which in the spirit world, it's a van, but because you've gotten used to it. In the spirit world, it looks like a carriage, like a cart, an old wagon cart pulled by the spirit of a horse, and they're attaching themselves to it, and they seem to be feeding off of something on it. And another one is making its way out. This one, again, it's hard to tell because this one looks like it's being carried by by Baines, almost like it almost looks like it's crawling off the boat by itself on tendrils of black and red, and it's heading for the van.
Okay. I basically text back, "We need to leave now."
Gra texts back that he's not leaving until he figures out what's in the crates.
I text him back, "BSD." I text him, "Whatever is in those crates is attracting Banes up his Banes like crazy."
What does BSD stand for?
Black Spiral Dancers.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
Malia, what have you been doing this whole time? You have you have the perfect opportunity to observe because you're dead silent. You're almost impossible to spot. So did you know it?
Monica, are you there?
Yeah, repeat it one more time.
What is it that you've been doing during all this? You're dead silent. You have, fortunately, being as your totem is owl, you move with absolute silence. So, and you're with Blur of the Milky Eye. You're the least likely to be noticed. Fortunately, you're at the end of the row, looking around. You're kind of seeing all the same stuff that James is. It just doesn't always make sense to you. You didn't catch anything about that black spiral thing or the Pictish writing. You just see a bunch of big guys with MP5s
Yeah.
and you see that they're carrying boxes off. Actually, this is potentially important. I need you to make. I'll make a roll for you. I need you to tell me what your intelligence is, too, right? And do you have any skill in occult or symbolism or enigmas or anything like that?
I have one in Enigma.
Okay, make a roll and
Where
see.
would I find Enigma? Oh, I have one in Enigma.
Okay, perfect. So I made a roll for you.
Is it intelligence and Enigma?
Yeah, I made a roll for you. No, perception enigma, because it's not to figure out what it is, to see if you even spot it. It's just to see if you spot
2
it.
perception.
Yeah. So you notice a symbol on the second of the crates that they're bringing out, and it's definitely Egyptian in origin, and it's definitely something like a hieroglyphic.
I got 2 successes, John.
Yeah, you spot a weird symbol. It doesn't make much sense to you. It's just a symbol on the side of the crate. It doesn't look like a typical shipping symbol or packing symbol. It's definitely esoteric in nature.
One thing right quick.
What?
Do I happen just to have like a paper and pen with me or anything like that? Where I can write it down or draw it down?
Absolutely no problem. No reason why not. You travel a lot.
Okay.
You have your purse. you're a lady. You have a purse.
Fuck that shit. I got a backpack.
There you go. Okay, you have a backpack.
Yeah,
I mean, you are a courier.
I quickly
I can't imagine
draw
why you
down
wouldn't
what I
have
see.
some method of which to write on.
Yeah, I quickly draw down both the symbol on the crate or whatever they're carrying
Yep.
out, and what symbols I can see from all the like above their collars and stuff like that.
Okay, cool.
Just to take note.
Good idea. Okay,
And then
good stuff.
after I do that, I just try to head back without being caught.
Okay, the last thing. Okay, the van is loaded. The engine starts up and it's pulling away. It's heading like towards the exit gate. There's only one way out of this place, aside from cutting through the fence. There's one gate with armed guards at it. Just a second. I need to make another roll. The van leaves. Obviously takes off down the docks. That going that way. It's easy to see where it's going. At the same time, I just want to see if it's spotted in there. But yeah, okay. Once it leaves, 4 of the guys leave. The 2 guys with the Pictish tattoos are still there, and one of them is like literally down on his hands and knees, and he's pawing at the ground with his big meaty hand, and he's like, tell you, smell them. Enough. And the other guy, his hand transforms, just his arm transforms into a Krynos form, and his claw drags a red glowing circle on the ground around himself, and you see tendrils start to spread out from the red very quickly towards like all directions, spreading out. In the Umbra, Diana, you actually see the same thing. You see one of the Banes, this one's big, and it draws a glowing red circle on the ground around itself, and the circle bursts into about foot-high flames that start streaking out all over the Umbra.
Fuck. Time to go.
Your spirit's like dragging you away.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm bolting.
Okay, so you take off. It's not hard to outrun them. These are small flames. They're moving, but they seem to be moving in a very random way. Malia, Gra, they're moving towards you. Like, not specifically directly towards you, but they're starting to branch out in all directions, and they're coming up the sides of the containers, that sort of thing. The guy in the circle seems to be very intensely focused. The other guy is reaching into his jacket, and he's not pulling out an MP5. He's pulling out a long silver knife. You can smell the silver from here.
Okay, James, you have like a fire thing you can do, right? Does that mean you can shoot fire or you're fireproof?
No, it means that I don't take aggravated damage from fire.
Damn it, I was really hoping you could shoot a fireball from like a different direction.
I'm not a fucking feared. You shitting me?
Fuck off. I was like thinking like maybe we can like cause a distraction somewhere else so they focus on that. And so the flames at least aren't spreading in every direction.
There's no flames from what you see. It's just a red glowing line. It looks almost like a crack. It's not a line, it's like a crack.
I'll tell you what I do, though. I take a pen out of my pocket, and I throw it literally, like, at the yacht.
Okay.
And I turn around and bolt.
Okay. You throw the pen. Go ahead and make a strength roll, first of all, to see if you can throw a pen like 40 yards. Now you're up on a high. It might not make it all the way, but that's fine.
So just strength, 6 diff, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That just tells me how far you throw it.
Don't you still have like, also,
2 successes out of 3.
Okay. So you whip this pen off there, and it goes spiraling off into the darkness, and it's a pen. It goes tick, 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 off the asphalt. The guy who's in the circle pays never mind. He's focusing on what he's doing. The guy who's down on his knees, his head snaps over to it, and when you see him move, you look and you realize that as you've been doing this, he's been shifting. He's split. The suit is gone. There's a huge black furred monster of a guy. He must be the size of a bear, and he snaps his head over. He goes, "Gotcha!" and he looks straight up at you.
Oh no!
And just his back foot plants into the concrete, into the asphalt. You can see the claws dig, and he leaps halfway up up easily 30 of the 40 or 50 feet up to the top of this thing, and just slams his claws into the side and starts clawing his way up towards you.
Okay, fuck this. I'm switching into lupus form and I'm bolting.
Okay, make a roll. Make a roll
okay,
to
so
make a. You need to make a rage roll.
6.
It's a rage roll, whatever the difficulty says, to make an instant shift. Malia, what are you doing?
So 4 dice, 6
Let me
diff.
ask, what weapons do I have before I get fucked?
You might not be carrying any weapons. It's difficult to travel around the world carrying weapons.
Okay.
You probably have a pocket knife. That's about it. You don't carry much in the way of weapons.
And it's not silver, I'm guessing.
No.
I have 3 out of 4 successes.
3 out of 4 successes,
Okay.
you instantly shift.
Cool. I bolt.
Right. Yeah, so you turn and run. He's chasing you across the top of these things. Like Malia, you turn, you hear slam into the side of the thing, and you hear like growling of rage. The guy in the circle drops the circle and starts chasing after, going, "Oh God, you're gonna piss me. You're gonna get me killed, aren't you?" Actually, Malia, what you hear is something that sounds like Klingon at this point, as far as you're concerned. Um, he doesn't seem to have noticed you, and he takes off up the side of this thing, and you can see this that guy, like bigger than you, but built like you, just ripping his way up the side of these things, and they're chasing Gra across the tops of these containers.
Damn it. I want to help out, but I doubt I can. Let me see something.
Diana, what are you doing? As you leave, you hear the howl of wolves, basically a werewolf. You hear a werewolf howl, and in the Umbra, and you see two Banes chasing in your general direction. They're not coming after you, but yeah, you see like they're definitely running after something.
Quick question, what is kinfolk?
Kinfolk are humans with werewolf DNA.
Okay, never mind.
They know about you, and they're like your parents. Your parents would have been kinfolk.
Okay. Let's see, expression. Here it is. You know what? Since, let's see, I have a firearm of 2, but
Yep.
stamina 4. I want to try intimidating just one of like the other guards or whatever they are.
They're
So, like,
gone. They
towards
left
me.
in the vehicles.
Oh shit.
The only thing left with those 2 guys.
Okay, damn it.
The van is by now actually at the entry gate. Oh, actually, that's very important. Hang on a second. You're left behind. I need to check something here. Okay. You notice, because the chase is now going on across the top. You notice that the van was stopped at this entry gate, and the two guards that you knew were there or would have stopped it. You hear yells of, "Hey, what's going on over there? Hey, something's there's something over there." And then you hear then an alarm like burp, 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 starts going off all over the docks. Floodlights start coming on everywhere, and that's what you hear. So
Okay.
now you're standing in blazing light. Gra, same thing. As you're running, you hear like yells from off in the distance. It's actually really easy to hear in lupus form. You hear yells of humans going, "Hey, what's going on over there? Hey, we're being broken into!" And then a very loud alarm starts going off. You
That's fine, I'm
basically
still
get
running.
to you get to the last row of containers. You make a big leap. You hit the road in lupus form. You split across the road, and behind you you hear the crashing sound of a big chunk of fence coming down.
Oh fuck.
You run across the
So
road.
they drove through the fence.
Yeah, no, not the van. Akrinos just landed on the two guys in Krinos form, just slammed into a fence and knocked a big chunk of it down.
Oh, great.
Because they're chasing you. You can hear them. They're laughing. They're like, "Fresh meat." And hang on, I need to make a roll. Ooh. Okay, so you sprint across the road to the other side. You dive between in the darkness between some buildings. Big lights are coming on from the far side, and you hear behind you the screeching of tires, and something goes thump, and then like a heavy duty growl, and the sound of metal cracking. It's like tearing and glass breaking.
So they probably tore into the van.
It's only if you want to know, you have to stop and look back. That's a decision that you make.
No, I'm gonna fucking keep running my ass into Boston.
Okay, Diana, you are in the Umbra. The flames are no longer chasing you. They're gone. They just disappeared out of nowhere. The little girl is still hanging around back on the dock. The Banes sprinted right past you. They've now left the area of the docks, and they're moving into Boston proper. This is old Boston, sort of like old Montreal. Like, this is the classic area of where Boston originally came up around the harbor. So all of the buildings there look like 1700s colonial buildings. You see spirits of people who look like Ben Franklin and Paul Revere walking around, that sort of thing. And the Banes are not coming toward. The 2 Banes ran past you. The rest of the Banes are following the wagon, which seems to be down at some distance, and it's stopped. And again, there's like weird tendrils of red and black lashing out all around it. It's almost like if an electrical pulse, like a pulse grenade from Destiny, except in red and black.
Oh,
It's just sitting there. So, what do you want to do?
hmm. I basically, I'm still. I'd rather like move out.
Okay.
Like try to put as much space between me and that van and whatever's at that van as possible before trying to contact the others.
You're not close to it. It's quite a distance away.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to be like, well, right now I'm trying to like, I'm gonna try to like contact or at least text, Are you guys safe?
Who? Sorry.
I'm basically texting the party.
Okay.
Are you guys safe?
Okay. James, you're on the run, and Lupus, your butt's vibrating. You don't seem to be being
That's fine.
chased anymore. You don't seem to be being chased anymore. Whatever the noise is behind, it's still quite a ways behind. You can hear screams. You hear screaming, and now you're starting to hear sirens back behind you.
Okay, so I jump up onto a rooftop while still in lupus form.
Okay.
And,
You're an old
I'm
boss, and all the rooftops here are fairly low.
Okay, so then I'm gonna kind of like double back a little bit on one of the rooftops and kind of be like low, slow, and quiet when I get near it and figure out what's going on.
Low, slow, and quiet wouldn't matter anyway. You could be blasting heavy metal, out of your speakers, and nobody would notice at this point. There's a massive commotion going down on the road that ran past the fence. Basically, it looks like one of these guys got hit by a car as he ran across the road, or hit a car, smashed into it, and now the two of them are basically tearing. It looks like they tore a car apart, and there's police cars are going past, chasing two figures that seem to be disappearing into the darkness, disappearing into the night in that general direction.
Okay, so they're occupied. Is the car that got wrecked the van?
No, no, no. The van was at the terminal gate, right? They were getting ready to leave when you basically the alarm got set off. No, this is just a passerby car who happens to be driving by.
Okay.
Yeah, it happened to remember you guys came out of the darkness from onto Front Street basically and sprinted across the road.
Mm-hmm.
So you ran past, nothing happened, and then they jumped out, and either they went into the side of a car or a car went into one of them. And then, of course, there are two giant bear-sized dudes basically smashed the crap out of a car and then ran away when the cops came. It's not difficult to.
Back to the gate.
Okay, it's difficult. You're not supposed to wander around in lupus form. You know that, right? It's like if you get spotted, it's bad.
Okay, so I'm gonna switch back to Hamid form.
Yep.
Now that everything's kind of clear, once I'm like back down in an alley, and then kind of walk out, straighten myself a little bit, and kind of walk on the opposite side of the street, over to the gate down Front Street.
Okay, no problem. You're walking that way. They said the cops and ambulance and stuff have gotten there. They're making up a cordon. They're quite happy to shift you that way. Keep walking, keep walking, keep walking. Being a really handsome, nice, young-looking young fella, it's handy because they don't assume you're doing anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing what being good-looking gets you. Even one of the ambulance chicks is like checking you out.
He kind of like beckons her over for a split second to see if he can work a little bit of magic.
Sure, this is things you can do.
So, what happened over there?
Oh, apparently, like a bear or something. I didn't think there were any bears here in Massachusetts anymore, but like a big black bear got onto the road, got hit by that car. The people in the side they're shaken, and then it attacked the car, and then apparently it had like cubs or something, and they just jumped the car. Anyway, the animal control and the police are going after them. Isn't that crazy?
That's fucking crazy. That's nuts.
Hey, haven't I seen you down at Seamus's pub?
Yeah, I play guitar there sometimes.
Oh, that's amazing. My girlfriends and I go there when we've had enough of scraping up drunks.
Oh, that's cool. Well, hey, maybe let's see it again there sometime.
Yeah, that'd be really nice. Yeah, absolutely. My name's Karen, by the way.
I'm Gra. You can call me that.
Oh, sweet. That is so cool. Yeah, okay, I gotta get back to work. Shh, okay.
Aye,
Should
yeah,
I
go.
see the police are
So,
looking like, oh my god. Move along. Nothing to see here. Move along. Nothing to see here.
so then he pulled out his phone, texts back that he's safe, and texts basically the situation that happened.
There's sirens moving their way down, like that way. They're whatever's going on. It's you get a text from Seamus. What the fucking sweet Mary and Joseph is going on down there?
He instead of texting, calls Seamus and explains basically what just happened.
Oh Christ!
The Black Spiral dancers, the Banes, everything.
All right, so they brought in something evil. I think Diana's probably right. You and Diana are probably right. It might be a coffin. They have been known to work as bodyguards for vampires. I thought we'd cleared the vampire problem here. I don't know about that evil in the Umbra. Vampires don't usually signal much in the Umbra. I don't know too much about them. Perhaps we could get some research from some other people. Anyway, gather up the two you're with if you can, and bring them by the pub, or bring them by your place for the night. It's late. You can call it a night.
I'll head back to my house.
Okay. I'll set Logan out to see what's going on. He's pretty good at taking care of himself if there really are a pair of Black Spiral dancers in our city.
Keep me posted.
That thing
Can I
with the
roll?
Wendigo, don't worry about it. I'll set a meeting. Maybe we'll have a chat with them and see if we can't come to some sort of compromise.
Keep me
I wanna see
posted.
how fucking wasted I get.
What's that? Sorry. Yeah. So you make your way. What do you do? Oh yeah. You're hiding. You're hiding quietly and relatively unseen at the docks when the police show up to take photos, obviously, of this smashed up container. The inside of the container didn't have anything special in it, rice or something like that. It was nothing of any big concern. They cordoned the place off.
I want to try my usual way fucking extra technique of just walking past them while intimidating as many as I can while walking by. If any of them like try to get my attention or stop me.
Well, you're in an area where it's illegal to be, so you might not
shit,
want
never
to.
mind.
Yeah, remember you're in the docks where a big altercation just went by. Or now you can get back to the road, at which point everyone's just like happy to ignore you.
Yeah, I'll do that.
What is your appearance, by the way?
What do you mean my appearance?
How many dots do you have in appearance?
6?
You
Where's
don't have
appearance
6
at?
dots in appearance, no.
There's no way.
No, I mean, oh, it didn't say 6 dots. Where's appearance at?
If you look at the
Appearance
second
It's
row.
under social
Oh,
attributes.
2.
2. Okay, so you look average, but yeah, that's a Silent Strider thing, basically. They spend so much time in the Umber around death. They have this weird, creepy air about them that makes everyone uncomfortable. So yeah, you walk by and they're like, nothing. You can see like obviously the rubberneckers have all come out of the pubs. It's a a fun night, and they're all like, hey, what's going on across there? All the people in Old Boston and the police are like, move along, nothing to see here. When you walk by, they're like, move, yeah, but go, move along, nothing to see here, Especially considering that you had a manifestation of your little girl companion there. Diana, the whole time that you're there, you do hear the little girl, and she's singing. She's singing stuff like, "You Are My Sunshine" and other old songs, and she'll be coming around the mountain and that sort of thing. She seems to be quite content, and as long as you don't look directly at her, like she looks like a 6-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I gotta fucking
I send a group text to the two of them. Basically just to make it like a group conversation on Messenger on Facebook or whatever, and kind of give them like a sit rep. Like Seamus said, we can call it a night. We should head back to my house and get some sleep.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
I text back,
Malia, what do you do with the stuff you wrote down?
I take a picture of it, send it over the group chat. And it's like, by the way, I found these. And since like my people originated from like Egypt, right? Wouldn't I be able to like recognize the one on the coffin or the thing they brought out?
Now that you have a
sometime?
chance to look at it, this is what you weren't really in a position to study it very well, but now that you have a chance to study it, go ahead and make a roll, intelligence plus enigmas, and
I
because
was gonna
it's
say Gra tells her to just
2 intelligence,
Google it.
1 enigma.
yeah, so I'm gonna roll 3 dice for you at a fairly low difficulty because this is like very easy. Yeah, it's a symbol of Set.
Okay.
It's the
I
Egyptian hieroglyphic cartouche, which is like a name wrapped as a bunch of hieroglyphs wrapped in a circle that means somebody's name for the god Set.
Oh.
Set is the god of death. That's in the group chat.
More importantly, Set is the reason why the Silent Striders no longer have a homeland.
Well,
Set
I'm
was a
all of a sudden
vampire. Set was a godlike vampire who, when he was wounded by Silent Strider werewolves, cursed and broke their ties to their ancestors, so they no longer could live in their homeland.
Also, what's it called? Gra puts in the group chat that the symbol that's on their neck is Pictish. They're Scottish, and they're black spiral dancers.
Yeah, figured that out when they got into a scrap with a car. Seamus is obviously texting back or posting messages as well. Yeah, I figured that part out. We'll get a hunting party after them. Maybe that'll give the damn Wendigo something to do. They don't like the spirals any more than we do. Then the last thing we need is them working it. And she goes, Set, eh? Okay. Absolutely. The last vampires we need in this city are followers of Set. I don't know much about the leeches, but I know that they're definitely bad even for them.
Gra puts in the group chat, keep us posted. We'll call in the morning.
You got it. And that's where we're going to call it for tonight because James needs to be quiet for a while. It's getting late. I'm absolutely getting tired. And that was a good session though. I like that.
That was a lot of fun. That was a good session.
Cool. So now that we've done this, I've got the beginnings of what's going to happen in Boston. And then when we're ready to do some traveling, there will be storyline arcs that move west in the States and potentially into Europe as well. There's basically 3 major story arcs going on that I want to have going at any given time. One of them is sort of a crime in the city, basic action movie, evil, supernatural in the city. The other one is a horror, very much a horror genre story arc, and I'm still working out the details of the third one.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
Well, I want something that each of you has a definite stake in, like on an individual level, and then the others can help with, and then that's,
Yeah. Each one has kind of like their own main mission, and everyone's kind of like a
Yep.
helpful side character
Yeah.
in that.
Like, the fact that there's vampires in Boston is, a really goddamn big problem. And then also the fact that there's a hunting ground in Boston is a really big problem. But the fact that they're followers of Set is a huge problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a major tie for me to get involved in because it's kind of the person that ruined my whole culture.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Setite vampires are children of the vampire Set, but even among vampires, they're hated because they're pure evil. If you think of vampires as just it's like supernatural undead creatures, followers of Set are vampires who are also at the same time demons.
Oh, okay.
They're infernalists. They worship not just like most vampires in the world of darkness are not like, God hated me, so I'm a vampire, and the cross bothers me. Not at all. Like there's no aversion to garlic or the cross or silver or anything like that. They're just vampires. They live a modern life. It's a little bit like What We Do in the Shadows, that comedy kind of thing. Aside from the ancient heritage, and a lot of them laugh at it. They're like, whatever, big deal. They're punk rock vampires, right? They're heavy metal vampires. The Setites are almost a religion, and their religion is Satanism, and not the good kind. They specialize in draining away humanity.
Oh, that's not good.
Nope.
No.
That's bad.
And that's not giving away anything. This is stuff that you guys will easily find out.
Just would he already know?
Yeah, basically.
By the way, can we like decide together as a group what's the girl's nickname gonna be? It's gotta be something adorable.
Oh, her name's Catherine. I didn't tell you that.
Oh
Okay.
shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck. I'm gonna call her Kit Kat.
There you go.
Cause she's just so sweet. You can eat her up, and then you kind of look at her, and you're like, ew, maggots.
Yeah, no, you've learned not to pay too close attention to her.
That's amazing. Just gonna, like, next time I see, like, oh yeah, you see a little girl out of the corner of your eye. Okay, so corner of my eye is gonna stay exactly where she is. I'm gonna ask her a very specific set of questions.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, she has a very interesting backstory, so.
Who are you? And why is your face gross? Bitch, I'm gonna slap the bugs out of your ears. She's so sweet though. So helpful and kind and nice. We should put a ribbon in her hair.
Depending on who you are, yes. So this will get posted on YouTube so people could enjoy it at their leisure.
Nice.
Ooh.
And feel free to feel free to comment, like, subscribe, help us out, help us create more of this great content. Tell your friends, come and join us next time. Get into chat. I'll have a chat open so that we can see what's going on. I won't give away any spoilers, and don't. But you can do things. And if you're interested in doing roleplay games and this kind of thing as well, let us know. We'd love to help. Potentially, now this is only potentially. This Friday, I may be live streaming from a friend's barbershop.
That is amazing.
He owns his own barbershop.
Wait,
Well, this
what?
is, you know Cat MTL, Jay Schward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His friend is a barber, and he's opened his own shop, and he's got like 4 empty barber chairs because he's not using. And I was telling Jay, hey, I should bring the razor over and tidy up your beard for you. It's looking scruffy, and I can give you a really nice, like a fancy sort of cut, something cool like you see on those YouTube channels. And he said, well, how about we do it at my friend's barbershop? He's got the spare chairs. And the guy said, yeah, sure, no problem. And I told him, great, we could live stream. I could plug your shop, get you some extra business, and we could start doing Straight Talk for a Crooked World live from there, actually in the barbershop. Right.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, seriously. And if you guys are around when that happens, we'll get you into chat as mods or live talking if we can, and we can actually have some discussions about world events and I don't know what an asshole Donald Trump is, things like that,
Oh god. I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. Like, I'm not kidding. As soon as you said Donald Trump, it was just like coincidence.
Well, okay, I'm going to call the stream here so I can post it so it doesn't take 14 hours to export. I want to thank everyone for
process,
joining.
yeah.
We've been Homebrew Crew.